I wasn't going to stir anything up, but honestly, I've kept quiet for a long time, and I'm just sick of all his BS, to be honest with you. I'm sick of hearing him talk so much about Peter like he really knew him, and I'm sick of him using his name to try and get some fame out there. He even went as far as getting a tattoo of Peter's face on his arm, I believe, or his torso or whatever it was. He went to that extreme. And, like I said, I knew Peter James for a long time. Him and I were close friends, and I knew every person that Peter mentored. Peter liked to use my former team as a training or for any investigator that Peter or anybody that Peter was mentoring. So we knew everybody that Peter worked with. Okay, he never once mentioned Loop. In fact, there was an incident at the Queen Mary back when Peter was doing his tours, where Peter had invited myself and Lewis to this media event. I believe he was having Channel 4 there, filming in the Royal Theater. So the camera was spotlighting Peter James. Somehow Loop managed to sneak in there and stir the attention away from Peter James, the camera, take the spotlight away from Peter James, to show some pictures that he had taken of some orbs in the pool room to the camera crew. Now this infuriated Peter James. I mean, he pulled me aside afterwards and he was like, who in the hell is this guy, Loop? He's like, I'm very upset right now that he would have the nerve to come in here and take the attention away from me when they're here to film me. Who the hell is this guy? I mean, he was that upset. And like I said, everybody that knows Peter knows that he's a great guy. He's a friendly guy, and he's not one to get upset like that. And, I was really, I didn't see Mike. I think he snuck out after that. But, I had heard that, he did that. Peter had told me that. So, I know for a fact that Peter never mentored him. And that he in fact, all this came out, Mike started saying all this after Peter's passing. So, he waited until Peter passed, for him to come up with these lies, because, obviously no one can verify, no one can validate it, but I can, because, like I said, I knew Peter for a long time. And even if you were to ask Luis Gonzalez, if in fact it's true, he will tell you the same thing I'm telling you, that it's a lie. He will back it up as well.
I've actually seen Luis on Mike Loop's page just go ballistic on him for predicting earthquakes, like in the West Coast. I've seen Luis blow up on his page before, early on, and that's like saying the sun's going to come up tomorrow.
He's done that as well. But like I said, he would be able to validate the same thing I'm telling you, that it's a bunch of bullshit, that he never was mentored by Peter James. And it just infuriates me. It really makes me mad that Mike is doing this, and just, and like I said, he's telling people all this, and people that obviously don't know, that didn't know Peter, are going to believe him, because there's no one out there to really prove him wrong, And I know John Temporelli, great guy, and I respect the guy totally, but, he probably, he believes him, and, but it's just, I hate to say, but it is a total lie.
I think John Temporelli might have a different opinion when someone would point out that we have on tape him trying to predict that someone's going to die of liver cancer because he just didn't like that person. And I don't know why a so-called psychic would be so dark and just so hateful to somebody that they barely know, but they were told to hate by someone else. That's basically what the deal was.
Yeah, that's just totally wrong. To try and go on there and predict someone's death, it's just so it's just uncalled for. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
But I think more and more people will see the light. They'll there's he has a lot of followers. And I think a lot of people are in time will see that it's just all bullshit. What he's saying, what he's doing, his predictions, none of them have came true. The things that he mentions, how well known he is, it's not true. And he just, I don't know what he's doing or why people want to follow him. But I mean, like I said, I'm tired of hearing it. And I'm finally decided to speak out because I'm just tired of this BS.
No, basically speaking on the main point of paranormal drama, is it wrong for us to badmouth anybody, or should we be weeding out people that are building themselves up on, like I've said before, on the backs of dead people? Is this what do you think? Is that wrong or right?
No, I think it's right. I think it's the right thing to do. I think when we don't agree with something, or something's happening, we need to speak out, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving people the opportunity to come on this show, like right now, and answer the questions, and answer the accusations or what we're talking about right now, and we're not just bashing people. We're asking people to come on. If you don't agree with what we're saying, then come on the show. But I think all of us, or the majority of us that are actually doing this, I mean, it takes a lot for us to do this, but we need to get it. There's a lot of people out there that are neutral, don't want to get involved, but at some point, you have to speak up. When you don't agree with something, you just have to, and that's what we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to, and people that are not aware, we're just trying to make you aware of what's going on, so you don't fall victim to, BHPP or being overcharged, or say somebody like Luke, who really essentially is just a fraud and taking your money for his psychic readings.
Yeah. There's a friend of mine in the chat room named Scott, and he's on the outside of this, and he's like many people that don't know that there is some good legitimate people in the paranormal that don't want to be on TV. That's not what they're looking for. That's not what they're collecting evidence for. And then you have this circus, these people in clown shoes running around saying that they're the paranormal hot squad, or they're the Hollywood ghost hunters. I mean, I'm sorry about those guys. I mean, there's these actors. One played Jason, one played Leatherface, and someone played a girl in one of the Halloween movies. And it's not legitimate. I mean, those guys are nice. I've met them. They're just not a legitimate group. You know what I mean? They're not collecting evidence. They're not doing anything with it. They're not building on the evidence they're collecting. They're doing it for a TV show.
Real quick because I want to let Don get back on, but one other thing that was bothering me that I did want to cover are teams or individuals that are out there right now that are claiming that they've been around longer than they really have. And that's one thing that really upsets me. There's a couple teams out there, and a lot of us know who they are, that are claiming they've been doing this for 20, 30 years, or their team's been together for 15 years, whatever it is. And it's a lie. It really is a lie. And that really pisses me off, to be honest with you, because back when I started, 10, 11 years ago, out here in Southern California, there was only a handful of teams out here. And I know who they all are. And a lot of them aren't even around anymore. But for these people to claim that they've been out here investigating for that long is a bunch of bullshit, and it pisses me off, because it's just wrong. Why can't you just be yourself? Be honest about how long you've been investigating or what you've been doing. Don't claim that you've been working with the police department and homicides, or that you're working with, these celebrities, or you're working with all these people that people, when you don't. Just be honest about what you're doing, the evidence you've collected, and that's it. You don't have to lie. That's one thing that really upsets me, is just, why do teams have to do that? Why do they have to claim all this stuff that isn't even true? And that really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. I was looking at Scott's name popping up. Actually, believe it or not,
God, you just insulted me.
No, really, it wasn't that Scott. It was this Scott here. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank.
I'm gonna leave no way.
See, this is how paranormal drama starts. This is how it begins.
Scott just laughed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a little thing I should point out. Scott Bullywhiff in the chat room, he was in the original Innercircle on live video. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm stealing the Innercircle name, Scott, just so you guys know, Scott and Erica.
I don't know. I mean, what do these people in the room want to talk about?
Is there anybody that wants to come on camera and talk about anything about paranormal drama?
Okay, go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, George. So you were the security guard most of the time for Laurel Heights Paranormal and Linda Vista.
A lot of the tours and investigations were poorly planned. In fact, a lot of them were kind of not successful because we got a lot of complaints from the visitors that it paid to be there. That there's just too many people there, and people were stepping on each other during EVP sessions and stuff like that. And, I don't know if they changed procedure for the tours now, but as far as I remember, we got a lot of complaints about, it being poorly put together.
The incident on August 6th... Go ahead, Dawn.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. That's what I was going to talk about. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the incident on August 6th, when the people were in the chapel, what did Richard come up and say to you? What you came in pretty strong with the girls. What did he come in and say to you? Did I go in there very aggressively and throw them out, or what did he say?
What did Richard say as far as the event for the StuCon when the whole incident with the half girls happened? What exactly was said to you as far as how you should handle it?
As far as I should handle it?
Handle the girls, yeah.
Before I went to go talk to them or afterwards?
Before and after.
Well, before he told me that because of the production person that was there that had the girl chapel, they had gone to Richard, and then eventually it got to Francis, and Francis was pissed, so automatically it was my fault, according to Richard, because I can't be in two places at once. So he got mad at me and said, to go get them out of there, and once I got them out of there, that's when we had the altercation, and I thought the right thing to do was to get Richard involved, and that didn't work out too well, as we all know.
Once you got him involved, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Once you got Richard involved, was he in the girls' faces, yelling and cursing at them, like nose to nose, practically?
Yeah, he was. You see, the whole reason why I got Richard involved is because I thought he would be able to diffuse the situation, but it actually turned out to being worse. Mind you, before he started talking to them, before I even got Richard, I did attempt an apology and try to tell them, I'm just trying to do my job, and for the most part, I heard more things going on, and I felt that maybe I should go get Richard, and that would maybe diffuse the situation, but the way he approached it really didn't help it. In fact, it made it worse because some words were exchanged that weren't entirely professional.
Now, the whole thing, even before the before and after the StuCon event, was he saying that this all the negativity coming toward his way was a 3 a.m. paranormal plot or something? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, he said that this was all premeditated on behalf of Joe and Rebecca because of a supposed personal vendetta that they have against Richard and his occupancy of Linda Vista. So anything that happened bad to us as far as rumors going around or, anything for that fact, he just blamed it all on Joe and Rebecca.
Right after the StuCon event, what was the game plan? Did he gather everybody around in the group, and what did he say to everybody about how things are going to be handled with all the negative comments coming about from StuCon?
Well, there were several group meetings that were held at Linda Vista, both in the silk screening studio and in Francis's office. The major group meetings were held in the silk screening studio, and basically the consensus was to not respond to anything, and it's just childish games that they were playing, and they're just people that were hating on the group and the fact that they were occupying Linda Vista. But the meetings that were held in Francis's office were a little bit more serious, that's when the infamous blacklist was created, and automatically Innercircle were placed top of the list along with a few other people, including you yourself, Mr. Poe.
That's horrible. Who would put me on a blacklist?
I know, right?
Now, did anybody voice? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There was even a serious meeting with the LVHPC, the Linda Vista Paranormal Collaborative, where there's other groups from Ventura County and some other place. But we had a meeting in the chapel, and we addressed the events that took place on that August 6th, and Richard basically told them the same thing that he told the HPP members, which is basically don't feed it and don't buy into it, just don't say anything, that eventually it'll go away. But he couldn't be more wrong.
Did anybody in Boyle Heights stand up and say, gee, Richard, you came on pretty strong with these girls, maybe you want to take a little bit of the blame for what's going on? Did anybody respond to him that way?
Of course not. I took the brunt of the whole thing. In fact, I found out before my departure from the group that all the blame was put on me, that it was all my fault that it went down, and that Richard was the one that threw me under the bus.
Now, you've been saying that
Don and Frank, that I made that video with Joe, really putting out that it really happened.
Uh-huh. Now, you've been saying...
If we left it to Richard do the right thing, it would have never happened.
Uh-huh. Now, Richard has been saying that they're not going to respond at all, but I guess publicly, but instead you got people like Calhoun and Grunwald to respond for him. Isn't that right?
Well, yeah, that's what I've seen. When I was still there in the group, Laura was pretty much the mouth of the group. What's funny about that is, as I explained in the video with Joe, that Richard was even kind of two-faced about that, because he was telling us to our face during our meetings that he doesn't condone what she was doing, and he asked her not to do it. But there was a time where I was with Jeremy, which is Richard's son. We were actually working on her car, and she was posting all these things, responding to the EPP page, the Exposing Paranormal Posers page, just, talking a lot of stuff towards you, Mr. Poe, and Dawn. And Richard actually calling, because apparently he was keeping tabs on the post that she was putting up there. He called, he didn't know that I was there. She put him on speakerphone, and he was like totally laughing and saying, thank you for doing this, and just being a complete and total hypocrite, and that's